Hi friends, welcome back to Table Full of Joy. I'm Cheryl and today we are kicking off all of our holiday baking. We have a lot to get done over the next couple of days. I got started later than I thought I was going to this year. We just had a crazy busy last weekend. That's usually the weekend that I get started, and then I had a busy couple of days the beginning of this week, so I'm getting a little bit later start than I wanted to, but we've got a lot of stuff to get done. So I've got a whole bunch of things here. I'll just run through what I have. We're gonna make a couple of recipes today, and then we're gonna do the rest of them tomorrow. And if I don't get them all done, we may do one on Friday. I do have a cake that I have to get done for a Christmas Eve party that we're going to with my family on Saturday after church. And so we are gonna just jump right into this and get this done. So we have got saltine crackers. Yes, you can make a holiday goodie with a saltine cracker. We are going to make Christmas crack. I made it a couple of years ago for the very first time, and it was amazing. I was hooked. My husband and I both love it. It's very addicting. It's super, super tasty, but we're gonna stay out of it this year. We are going to give it as gifts along with the rest of these goodies in our boxes. We are also going to make some, if you guys are familiar with the Samoa cookies, the Girl Scout cookies, I found a truffle that is made like the Samoa cookies. I had a little bit of leftover toasted coconut from when we made our coconut pie a few days ago. So we're gonna add this to some more coconut and we're gonna make our coconut truffles. We also are gonna make some bonbons. I cannot share that recipe with you. Unfortunately, that is a family recipe and I am sworn to secrecy, but I will let you see what they look like, and they are amazing. We are going to make some more of our hand pies. We auctioned those off for the St. Jude's Children's Hospital December Baking Challenge this last weekend. They were phenomenal. There was a couple people that really wished that they would have got some. So we are gonna do a batch of apple and a batch of berry tomorrow with my husband while he's on vacation, and we're gonna give a few people those as gifts in their goodie box. We are also going to be making some Christmas bark, which is made with white chocolate, dried cranberries, and pistachio nuts together. The recipe calls for dark chocolate chips. I don't really like it with the dark chocolate in it, so we're just gonna do it with just the pistachios and the cranberries in it, and we're gonna call it good at that. We are also gonna make some thumbprint cookies with an amazing jam that was made by a friend of mine, so we're gonna use some of her tasty strawberry jam, and we're gonna make some thumbprint cookies with those. We are going to make some turtles. If you're not familiar with that, I'm gonna try a new twist on the recipe that I normally do. Normally it is made with just the pecans and the caramel and the chocolate. I'm gonna put pretzels on the bottom of this. I'm gonna chop up some pretzels, mix those in with some chopped pecans, put our caramel on top of that, drizzle our chocolate, and then put a whole pecan on top. And then we're gonna try that and see how that sweet and salty goes together in those. We are going to make, let's see, we're gonna make a Christmas cake. We have a Christmas jelly roll cake that we're gonna make for our Christmas party on Saturday, so we're gonna do that. We are gonna make some fantasy fudge, which is just the recipe that is on, well, it's not on, I don't know why they don't have it on here now, but anyway, there is a recipe for fantasy fudge that is on your marshmallow cream. It's the one that we've always used in my family, so we're gonna do that. Let's see, we're gonna do some more Rocky Road because everybody loved that. And we are going to probably do another kind of cookie. I haven't quite figured out what I'm gonna do as far as another cookie goes. We're gonna do something else that looks good. And we're also gonna do some peppermint bark. I forgot about that. So we are gonna do some peppermint bark. That's gonna use some of our white chocolate, some of our chocolate chips, and then we'll do some peppermint on top of that. And that'll be another beautiful bark that'll go in our boxes. We try to make our boxes so they're real colorful. So there's lots and lots of things in it. So we have all these things. We're gonna get set up. We're gonna get things split up into recipes so that we have all of our ingredients ready to go so we can just start moving forward with things. Each one of these recipes is gonna be in a separate one, but they will all be linked together with this video so that you can see every one of these videos, all of the recipes together, and then you can make these for your family or for your friends if you wanna give them as gifts for the holidays. So we are gonna get things split up and we're gonna get moving on all of these recipes, get all of this cooking done as quickly as we possibly can, try to be as efficient as we possibly can with using like ingredients together if we can. So we're gonna get started. We are all set up and ready to go to make our first holiday goodie. We are gonna start off with our Cranberry Pistachio Bark, which is going to be beautiful. I just love the colors of these together over the white chocolate. It just looks beautiful. If you want to, you can take some dark chocolate and drizzle dark chocolate over the top of it to give it a little bit more color, a little more pop, and I may do that. I haven't quite decided. That's what I love about doing my own stuff in the kitchen, is because I can play with the recipe. I can use the recipe as a guide and be like, you know what, I think it's gonna look good with this on it. I'm gonna do a little bit of this. That is, to me, what gives you true freedom in the kitchen, is to be able to do those things and make it the way you want it to. So we have 4 of these bricks of white chocolate. This is just the Ghirardelli chocolate bars. So we're gonna kind of break these up a little bit into a little bit smaller pieces. You don't really need to chop them. And if you are not comfortable with doing this in the microwave, you can by all means do it in a double boiler over the stove if that is what you need to do. I do it in the microwave all the time, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do that instead of trying to heat up a pot of water on the stove and do the whole double boiler thing. I'm just gonna do this in the microwave, and I think it's gonna be fine. Now watch, this will be the one year where I have an issue with it. I've never had an issue before. That's usually famous last words. You say something like that and then everything goes wrong. But we are going to just move forward. We're gonna have confidence that we've done this before. I make this bark all the time, and I've always done it in the microwave. So we are just gonna go ahead and do that. But like I said, if you are not comfortable doing it in the microwave and you would rather do it in a double boiler, then please do that. It's totally up to you how you get your chocolate melted. The end result is the same. We just need a pound of melted white chocolate for us to spread. We have our pan right here that we have our parchment paper already on. That's going to keep our bark from sticking. So we're going to finish breaking these up, and then these are going to do 30-second intervals in the microwave. That's another reason why I do these in the microwave, is because I can take these things and just do 30-second intervals and be able to watch it pretty closely. And I can probably catch it if I look at it and go, you know, it's not looking real well. I think I'm gonna go ahead and put it in a double boiler, and I can switch at that point and do that if I need to. But I think I'm still gonna just go ahead and do these in the microwave just to save time. And this is gonna be fine. All right, we've got one last one to do. And then we are gonna do our, as I said earlier, we've got lots and lots and lots of things to do. We do have one more bark that we're gonna do. And since these are both super easy recipes, I think we will do them together while we have our bowl of white chocolate just getting ready for us. So we're going to break this up a little bit more, and then we should be ready to start doing 30-second intervals in the microwave. And let's see how we look. We also need to chop up our pistachios. We need to get those chopped. We don't want whole. You know what? Nope, I think we're going to do whole ones. These actually don't look too bad. These are not super huge. These pistachios look really good. So I think we are going to go ahead and just leave these whole pistachios along with our whole cranberries. And I think that's just going to be a beautiful bark in our Christmas boxes that we're going to do for people. We have several, and even if these are not melted, you still want to stir this. You want to stir this every 30 seconds because there are hot spots in your microwave, and you don't want to end up with one spot where it's already over melted and it's starting to burn when there's other parts in there that haven't even begun to melt yet. So it is a good idea, if you're doing 30-second intervals, just to continue with the stirring process with each interval that you do in the microwave. Make sure that you're stirring your chocolate and getting this ready to go. So this is a recipe that I found this recipe many years ago online. It was before I actually got hooked on Pinterest. I've been doing this specific bark recipe for probably, I'm gonna say I've been doing this one for probably the last 20 years. And I do this almost every single Christmas. It's become a huge favorite. My husband loves it. I have to try to keep him out of it because he wants to eat it. and it's not for us to snack on. This is for us to give as gifts. And so I do tend to let him have one piece of everything so he can sample. He's my quality control, so we'll let him sample those things, but typically we try not to indulge too much in the holiday treats that we make, just because both of us can just get too overwhelmed with all of the sugar, and so it's just better if we just give them as gifts and not do that. So this is about our third time now. So we are at about 1.5 minutes, and I can feel my bowl is getting warm, and I can see my chocolate is just barely starting to melt. So we're going to give this another stir, and we're going to go another 30 seconds. Now you're going to get to a point doing this that it is going to be almost all the way melted, and you're probably going to have a few little chunks in there that aren't fully melted. Don't microwave it again when you get to that point. Use the residual heat from the chocolate in the bowl, the residual heat from the bowl itself, to finish melting it the rest of the way. Because if you put it back in the microwave for 30 seconds and all you have is just a few little bits in there that still need to be melted, it's going to burn. It's going to burn, it's going to seize, it's going to separate, and it's just not going to be anything that you're going to be able to use for your bark. So you want to really watch it careful, and if you just have a couple of pieces that still need some melting, then just use the residual heat from both the chocolate and the bowl to finish melting that stuff. So this still has some pretty good sized chunks, so we're going to go back in for another 30 seconds. So this is our 5th time around with this. So we are at 2.5 minutes in the microwave. But what doing this in the microwave, doing it in 30-second intervals, does is it actually gives the bowl a chance to not get too hot. Because if it were to sit in here for a full 2.5 minutes and heat up, the bowl is going to be super, super hot, and that's where your chocolate's going to seize, or it's going to separate. So if we're doing it in 30-second intervals, we're taking it out, we're giving the bowl a chance to recover so that it isn't too hot, and you're able to let it cool down just a hair before it goes back in to finish the rest of your melting process. So we're getting really close. I think we probably are going to have one more. I think we're going to do one more 30-second interval, and I think we're going to be there. I think this is going to be it, and we're going to be ready to spread this out on our parchment paper, and then we're just going to move on. It's super quick. Like I said, you're just going to do your pistachios, you're going to do your dried cranberries, and I think we're going to let this fully set up, and then I'll decide if I'm ready to, if I want to go on with chocolate on top, if I want to do a drizzle just to make it more pretty, to give it a more presentation, then we can do that. But that can always be done after it sets up. But I really want to give the white chocolate a chance to set up before I add anything else on top of it, because if you add another layer of warm chocolate on top, I'm afraid that our dark chocolate would just completely sink in. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about here. You can see in our bowl, we still have just a few pieces. That's what we're gonna leave in here, and we're gonna just use our residual heat from our bowl and our chocolate that is already melted, and we're gonna just let all of this melt the rest of our chocolate. It's not gonna take very long. We still have quite a bit of heat in this bowl. This bowl's pretty warm. It's almost too hot for me to handle on the bottom, so we know that we're right there with our temperature. And we didn't need to use a double boiler. We didn't have to pull out another pot and do the whole thing. It's just sometimes for me, when I'm in a hurry and I have a lot of projects to get done, the less dishes I have to worry about, the better. So we're just gonna, I'm glad that this worked out. It turned out perfect. We just have a couple little pieces down in here still that we need to kind of mash around, get them fully melted, and our chocolate looks beautiful. This is perfect. All right, so we have our parchment paper here. We're gonna go ahead and dump our chocolate right onto our parchment. And when you dump this, you wanna make sure that you are spreading this out a little bit so that as you are pouring it, it's not gonna end up running off of your parchment paper. You wanna give it a good chance. But we're gonna get an offset spatula, and that's what we're gonna use to spread this so that we end up with a nice layer that is even for our chocolate. Let's wipe our spatula off. This is looking beautiful. This is going to be so pretty. Christmas colors with the green pistachios, the red cranberries. This is an offset spatula. It means that it's offset this way. It's not straight up and down and flat. So we're going to hold our parchment and we're just going to take our spatula and we're just going to spread this out in a nice even layer. Get this spread out. You don't want it super thick. You really want this bark to be more on the thin side. So we're going to get this as far to the edges as we possibly can get it. This is just so, to me, there is nothing more relaxing than being in the kitchen and cooking and baking all the things, especially at the holiday time. That is my favorite time. It's my memory of my Grammy, being in the kitchen with her and baking all the things that she did for the holidays. And you know, even if you just made this, you don't have to be a master baker. You don't have to be a master in the kitchen to do some of these beautiful little treats like we're doing right now. Even if you were to just take this, they have these cute little bags at the dollar store. Usually can get a pack of, usually like 10 or 15 of them together in a little bag. And they have these cute little not zip ties, but twist ties that go on them. And even if you just made this one bark, if you just made this one holiday treat, just this one thing right here, and gave this to somebody in a little bag, that would just brighten up their holiday. That would just say, you know what, I thought about you while I was making this, and even as small as this was and as easy as it was, it still is beautiful, and they're going to be thrilled with it. Just the fact that you thought about them. I know that there's some people that get totally into the baking at Christmas time. They want to make all these beautiful things, and it really can be intimidating for a lot of people. But this is a recipe that you can totally do without needing a whole lot of special tools. You don't need a lot of special ingredients. You don't need any of those things. This is just melting chocolate, getting some pistachios, a bag of dried cranberries, and you can leave it at this. You can actually do some other things to it too if you want to. I have done cashews and pistachios together on this, and it's beautiful. There's all kinds of things. Bark is such an easy treat to do for somebody. It just says Christmas. There's another one I have done for years that has all these jeweled colors on it. It has chopped up dried apricots. It has cranberries. It has a couple of different kinds of nuts. It's against a beautiful chocolate colored background. It's just a stunning bark to give to people, and it's super, super easy, and it isn't something that you need to have a lot of specialty tools or anything like that for. It's super, super easy, and it would just really brighten up somebody's day just to get a little box or a little bag of this bark, and just to be able to say, you know what, I was thinking about you, and I just wanted to make you feel special this Christmas. I just wanted you to know how much you mean to me. Little things like this. Food gifts are perfect for that. Letting people know how much you love them, how much they mean to you. That is what the holiday is about. That is sharing the love that Jesus has given to us and sharing that love with other people. And you can do that through food. You can say, I love you through something as simple as this bark right here. So we're going to take our pistachios now, and we are going to just drop these pistachios all over this bark with our cranberries. And I think we will do our dark chocolate, but this is going to come on a little bit later. We're going to let this completely and totally set up so that it is almost ready to come off the pan. And then we will come in with some dark chocolate. We will do a drizzle on this, but this is going to be beautiful. This is going to be super pretty in our little gift boxes that we're doing for some friends and family. But this just looks beautiful. So what I am going to do is I'm going to take my hand And I'm just gonna very lightly push, not super hard. I don't want to like just shove everything into the chocolate, but there are some nuts that don't have actual contact with the chocolate, and we need to have them have contact with it so that they can get set up in the chocolate. So we're just going to use our hand and just very, very lightly press on these things so that they are getting into the chocolate and they're going to stay. So I think we have enough pistachios here. I think this is looking beautiful. This is what our bark looks like. And we're going to finish this after it sets up and it's completely set. Then we'll come back in with some dark chocolate and we will drizzle this, and this will be beautiful. This is going to be a beautiful little gift. Break this into little pieces and put this in the gift boxes with the rest of our holiday presents that we're going to, our food gifts that we're going to give to people. And this is just an amazing way to share your love with your family and your friends, but also to share the love of Jesus during this Christmas season. So we're going to let this finish setting up, and we're going to get the dark chocolate put on it when it's set up. Our bark is mostly set up, and we are going to get some dark chocolate. We don't need a whole lot because we are just going to do a small drizzle. So I have a little bit of Ghirardelli. These are dark chocolate melting wafers. I use these for all kinds of things. So we're just going to put a few of these. That's probably plenty. Just like I said, we're not doing a whole bunch on this. We're just going to do a little bit of a drizzle on it. So we're going to put that in the microwave, just like our white chocolate. We're going to do 30 seconds. I actually think that 30 seconds to a minute is probably going to do plenty. We just have a little plastic bag. I normally use Ziploc bags, but I am out of the ones that I typically will use for this. So I just have a freezer bag. I'm just going to nip the corner off of this one. We put it in our glass like we do for anything that we're going to fill, a pastry bag or anything like that, so it holds it for us. We're going to give our chocolate a quick stir when it comes out. See where we're at as far as our melting goes. And this needs to go back in, but we're still going to stir. Just like I said, we need to still stir in between our intervals of heating it in the microwave, just to make sure we don't burn it, make sure that everything's getting mixed and it's getting heated nice and evenly. Melting chocolate can be a very temperamental thing. It really, really depends on your temperature, your microwave, and how your microwave heats and all the things. And so this way, doing it in the microwave, I kind of like it. It gives me a little more control over it. Some people are intimidated, and like I said, you don't have to do it in the microwave. You can simply do it in a double boiler. If you're not familiar with what that is, you just take a pot, such as this one right here. You fill it with enough water that it's not touching the bottom of your glass bowl or your metal bowl. You put it on your heat, put the bowl on top of it, put your chocolate in it, and heat up your water to a very low simmer. And then that is going to melt your chocolate over an even heat. So this was 1 minute, and we are there. It has, just like I said, a couple little chunks in here that need to be mixed in. So we're just going to give this a stir. We're going to let the residual heat from the chocolate and from the bowl finish melting this stuff, so we end up with a nice and smooth chocolate. We don't want any chunks that are going to get stuck in our bag. So we need to make sure that we have this nice and smooth. This is looking nice. See, one little chunk. So we're just going to take our spatula and just kind of mash that around. That looks good. So we're going to just dump our chocolate in here. Get this into our little bag. There's nothing more beautiful than chocolate melted. All right, so we have our bag here. We're gonna just nip the very tip of this corner off, just very, very carefully. Let's tip our bag back so we don't lose much of it. And then we're just gonna come in like this, and we're just gonna do some beautiful little drizzles. Let's go both directions on this. Make sure that we're getting everything covered in some dark chocolate. This is going to be beautiful. All right, there we go. This is our first goodie done, ready to finish setting up. This is our Cranberry Pistachio Bark with a dark chocolate drizzle and a white chocolate bottom on it. So we're gonna let this go ahead and set up the rest of the way, then we'll break it up into pieces as soon as it sets up. Hey friends, so our cranberry and pistachio bark is done. As you can see, this turned out amazing. Super pretty. We're gonna break this up. This is how we are going to give it to our friends. And you always have a few things that just don't stick, which is totally fine. Those just end up being snacks for the hubs or myself. You don't want these to be in super huge pieces. You really want them to be in manageable bite-size chunks. After we get this broke up, we are going to store this in the refrigerator because your house with the heat, your typical heat inside your home, is going to be way too warm for this stuff to hold for any amount of time. So we really need to make sure that we have this in a controlled environment where it can stay nice and cool. And we're gonna just store this until we are ready to make our boxes. So this is the reason we do parchment paper. It's because we want this to really be able to come off of the parchment paper super easy. We don't want things sticking. It would totally stick to a pan if you did it in a pan, and we don't want that. So you just want these to be, bark should be rough chopped pieces. It shouldn't be big, huge chunks. It really should be just these just very random looking chunks. This is what it should be for a beautiful bark. And I just love the colors in this with our pistachios, our cranberries, and then our dark chocolate that we did on top. That was kind of a last minute thing, but I think it totally worked. I think this was great. So this is our pile that we have right here. This is going to go in our gift boxes. As you can see, we have a good pile here of our delicious bark. We're going to put this in a container. This is going to go in the refrigerator until we are ready to start making our gift boxes. But this is going to be a super sweet present for somebody that's going to receive this gift box. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me in my kitchen today as we made some delicious Christmas treats. I hope you guys will join me again. It means so much to me that you guys would spend time with me in my kitchen. I really love sharing this community with you guys. If you're new around here, please give my channel a like and a subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of the fun stuff that we're doing. We have a lot of fun stuff coming up, especially into the new year. We have a huge launch that we're going to do after the first of the year, and I'm excited to share that with you guys on New Year's. So if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do that before you leave today. And I hope you guys all have a great day. Thanks, friends.